Hey everybody, it's Wukepedia. I'm here with the Darkness Falls tips and tricks video. I'm going to start out with like generalized tips and tricks in the beginning, and then I'll kind of do like a class pseudo deep dive in the end, and maybe one secret. Anyway, let's start out with generalized starting things. The first thing you're going to do when you spawn in is you're going to have to choose your class, and I'm still on an active server. So the decision that you have to make to pick your class is actually a pretty big one. There's a lot of really cool perks, and they're gated behind the class system, and not all of them have immediate benefits. And as you do the class quests, you actually get free points in these. So don't start dumping your points into these things until you at least finish your quest line. But some of the higher recommended ones are honestly, for me, would be Farmer, because you can get some food right away. Food is actually quite difficult in this one, because the canned food, most of it is very high chance of food poisoning. I think most of them are 10 to 20%. So the majority of the food that you would normally use in the game is no longer edible, and almost all of the food that you farm and then cook is perfectly edible, no chance of food poisoning. So you definitely want to get into the cooking and eating right away. Hey, so you got to stay alive. Huntsman is another big one for food, but there isn't really huge benefits here. The noise is kind of nice, so you can sneak around, and then the sneak damage is actually pretty significant. So your base sneak attack is 200%, and this adds another 200 on top of it. So you actually do 4 times damage when you sneak attack stuff with this. Hunter wouldn't be a bad one to start. And if you have a friend, Laborer is really great to get a forge early and steel. Mechanic is really great to get turrets and vehicles right away. Scavenger is more for a trading profession, because they've got charismatic nature they changed. So this is basically a trade perk now. You get all the quest reward choices and extra things like that, and then bartering. And then you also get some of the stuff from Wasteland Treasures. A lot of the perk books are gone, but a lot of them are baked into this stuff too. Scavenger might be one of the best ones, and then with the extra tokens that you earn, you could probably buy food from the traders. You definitely leverage trailers a lot in this mod pack. I can keep going here. Really quick overview. The science gets you healing bandages really early. However, healing bandages are essentially free from the trader. There's 2 traders, the main one that's always there, and then you also have like a commander guy. He almost always has healing bandages, and I think they're 30 tokens apiece. So you find a tire on the road, it sells for about 100, there's 3 healing bandages. They're really not an issue. Just make use of that trader, buy some bandages early and often. Security does not have a lot going for it, other than you get a bit of a HP gain because of that, and you attack faster. However, he has one of the best master books in the game. I think you have to be level 50 for that. He gets you a brass catcher. Big deal. And then survivalist, I don't think is actually that good for a starting thing. It's just some insulation, drug use, and disease resistance. I wouldn't pick it. And then there's technology. Anyway, so small farm, like this is our first house that we lived in. Really small farming is ideal. You don't want to go too big with it. We actually had, it was either a bug or it might have been intended, but I had a crop plot probably 8 or 10 times the size of this, and it all got wiped out at once. It wasn't another player. I watched it happen before my eyes, and they all just poofed into, and there was no seeds, and it was all gone. So I don't know what that's all about, but keep your farming small so you don't get penalized, even if it is just a bug. Maybe it won't happen to you, but lower that mitigation, mitigate that a little bit. So there's a little thing called a rain catcher. Is it rain? Let me look here. Yeah, rain catcher. Super cheap. They just produce source blocks of water. Even if you're not farming, it's a really easy way to have a source of water to fill your jars from. Build a rain catcher, stick it in the ground. You should actually sink them down one more, so you see that it's putting water on the level above it. So it'll fill the stuff around it, and it'll also fill up 1. So if you sink those barrels down 1, it'll just fill the trough that you make, and all of these plants need a set amount of water for them to continue getting to grow, and they will not grow without water. You're back to like a scrap iron hoe, so you have to till the ground. The farmer quest actually has you make crop plots, but you don't need them. You have to make them for the quest, but you don't actually need them. It's much easier to just till the land and get the water. And I believe you still need water with the till, with the farmland, that is. But get a good variety. The big thing that's added in this pack as well, even if you're not a farmer, is fruit trees. So as you travel around the world, you're going to see these really brightly colored trees. Now, I don't remember if the seeds are gated behind the farmer perk, but all you have to do is hit it once, and you get gourds and apples. You know, just once. Once it's this, about an hour from now, it'll regrow, and you can get more wood and apples from it. There's other orange trees and banana trees and coconut trees in the world. You just have to go find them. It rewards you pretty well for exploring. Apples are a really great source of food early on. You can just cook them in the fire with sticks, and you can get like a baked apple, and it's a pretty staple food source in the beginning that eliminates your need to get meat from animals, and all the canned food is just a waste. So, going back over here, I obviously crafted a whole bunch of the seeds from the fruit that I went and gathered. I went out into the desert and I just planted a ton of trees. We only ended up harvesting all of these trees like twice, and we had plenty of food for weeks. It's really not needed. We have piles and piles of food back home, and it was a little bit of a waste of time to build this many. I think 10 to 50, well, probably 5 to 10 trees of each type for each person. That's it. All you really need. And if you're diligent about it, you can do it with far less. And yeah, fruit is a definitely great way to do it. Oranges make the best drinks with orange tea because wellness is added back in, so good food is actually mandatory. If you just eat baked apples all day, you'll never get wellness, and if you die, you lose wellness. Kind of an A16 reminder from us there. So you do actually need to get into cooking even if you aren't the farmer, a little bit. But yeah, apples make cheap food, oranges make good drinks, and coconuts help you build a lot of the bread and stuff. It's a cheap way to make yeast and whatnot. Anyway, farming aside, hunting is decent, especially if you have a huntsman. Make sure that you get someone working on that right away. If you are a farmer, however, use those apples for things called snares. So there's also chicken coops, chicken nests. The coops don't do anything, but let me double check the name of this so you guys don't get this wrong. Chicken. Yeah, so it is a chicken coop. But so if you look at animal feed, like, can I just make it here? Let's just do one. So you can make a snare or a chicken coop. The chicken coop is far more expensive, and you actually get less from it. It's not balanced, but you should definitely make snares, and a lot of them. So you only get eggs and feathers from a chicken coop. You can get eggs, feathers, bones, meat, leather, and animal fat from snares pretty regularly. If you do a lot of these, sometimes you strike out, just get a couple bones. You get a lot of leather. You won't have to be chopping up couches. Make yourself some snares. You'll have food, eggs for days, feathers for your arrows. Arrows are not retrievable. Very important to mass produce snares as soon as possible. They take a couple hours to respawn, so a couple in-game days and you can get them again. Very renewable food source. When they're back down on the ground, you don't have to do anything. These will just respawn. A little bit broken if you ask me, but it's there. Use it. Horde Night is definitely a big deal. Be careful. This is our Horde base. I'll kind of explain this a little bit later. But basically, you need a lot of space for Horde bases. There's a lot of cheesy Horde bases that work in vanilla that will not work in this mod. There are giant angry demons, and they don't give a shit about your little Horde base from vanilla. So be ready to be surprised. It was a lot of fun. So I think I'm gonna go into I mean, the big things, make sure to get your brass catchers in your guns. Huge. There's magazine extenders. There's blessed metal stuff for extra damage to demons. Oh, another one big thing before I dive into the classes. So they made mining tools work the same as wrenches. So normally, if I were to take a chainsaw to a vehicle, it would explode. I just got parts as if I had wrenched that car. So when you get your Miner 69er leveled up, you get an increased yield from cars as it is, and it's really not worth having a wrench around. Like, there's all the stuff I just got from those cars. You get a very decent amount of stuff from it, and it's much faster. This is a titanium chainsaw too, so it's not going to be that fast for you, but you can absolutely take your pickaxe and break those cars. They will still explode if you attack them with other things. I'm not sure about, say, a sledgehammer or something like that, and zombies will still explode them, but mining tools specifically work as if they were a wrench. It also works on things other than cars, such as, like, let's see, what's in here that I can wrench? Like light fixture or something. Somebody literally came in here and wrenched all the lights off. This is awful. Let's go over here and find something to wrench. The prefabs in this pack are also quite nice. So like, there I got some electrical parts and some brass. Yeah, this was a bad idea. Anyway, definitely get used to using your mining tools, and unless you are the mechanic and you get what? Unless you're the mechanic and you get the better salvage operation perk, I believe it's mechanic. Yeah, salvage operation. It's really not worth it. Just use your mining tools. It's fantastic, and also don't chop down trees. Find the fruit trees. You get a drastically large amount of wood from fruit trees compared to regular trees. You'll never have to cut down regular trees if you just get a good supply of fruit trees going. So deep dive into the classes here. I'm going to get somewhere safe. I'm going to kind of go like talent by talent and explain. Actually, I'll do the generalized talents first. So some of these are back from Alpha 16. Like, you level them up as you use them. So my archery skill is pretty low because I moved on from guns pretty quickly. And as you level up archery, you can invest more points to make it a little bit better. So like, I have to get archery 20, even though I'm level like 150, I can't put points in it because I haven't used the bow long enough to learn how to do better. Athletics is back. It decreases stamina when you're running and whatnot. It's a little broken. Stamina is not a huge issue in this pack. Health Nut is back with wellness. If you die too much, your health will go down. And as you go up, like you can see, I have 300 HP. You need that right there. Sexual Tyrannosaurus is kind of wasted because with athletics and how much running you do around, I can actually gain stamina while sprinting. Let me just... I'm gonna just jump a bit. Alright, now I'm sprinting. My stamina is going up 275, 276, 277, and I am sprinting. So that's with 3 points in. I'm gaining stamina while running. Double dipping on stamina talents like that, what I think was a mod mistake, but it is what it is. So, got to be careful with that. Don't do too many. Parkour is actually an underrated talent. I really liked it. As soon as I got to be able to jump 2 meters higher, you can get into a lot of places you're not supposed to get into and get away from a lot more zombies. Wait a second here. I don't want him bothering me. Automatic weapons, obviously, I've gotten a lot of points into, and then blunt weapons, I really haven't done a lot with those. I was the knife guy at the beginning because I was trying to get my knife skills up, because as you get this, you get a larger harvest count from getting animals. I was going to go hunting as my second perk, but I ended up not needing food because of the snares, but I still ended up using a knife a lot. Miner 69er is obviously great, but it is gated behind your mining tool leveling, your mining tool skill. So you still have to do a lot of mining to get this perk, but it is drastically stronger than it normally is in the game. It actually doubles the yield because they baked in Miner 69er and Motherlode. And I believe it also doubles the yield from things like cars, radiators, lights. It doesn't say when mining blocks, it just says when using that tool. I've also had it where I've been able to get 2 tires from 1 tire on the road because I'm using a mining tool. I just got 2 tires. I don't think the vanilla game has that possible. You're only supposed to, well, you can't even get a tire from a tire, but when you normally do it, you would get 1 in the beginning, and then as I leveled up my Miner 69er, it ended up doubling the yield on a lot of that stuff. I was actually able to place candles in the world and break it with a mining tool and get back 2 candles. Place those 2, break them, get 4 candles. Like, so you could dupe stuff technically, but not really valuable. So it doesn't actually have to be on resources. Pistol, like it's all pretty much the same. It's just more damage, more decapitation. They baked a lot of talents into the one. And scavenging skill is back, which increases the quality of your loot, lowers the time. Fast Eddy was really worth it, especially with snares. Highly recommend putting some points into this because the faster you loot stuff, the faster you get to the next thing to loot. It does save you a lot of time. You're more efficient. Quality Joe is one that I'm not sure if it is worth it. I didn't do enough testing with it, honestly, but even with this and my 100 looting goggles, I have technically plus 350 loot skill, and then whatever this is giving me, because it just says better loot, and I'm still not finding like consistently greening up pieces. I'm still getting grays and oranges, so I'm not sure if it's really worth it. I wouldn't recommend putting points in this right away. Treasure Hunter, really not worth it at all. I put 1 point in it because I'm level 150, why not? Definitely want to have specific people on your team specialize in the crafting perks that they're putting points into. Quicker crafting is not worth it until very late, but weapon crafting, you get weapons and bows, which is the melee weapons. Tool crafting, I think they're also gated behind levels. I think so you have to be like level 20, then 40, then 80, etc. So make sure that you have somebody working on each of those things. Gun crafting, another thing that kind of devalues the Quality Joe is the best things in the game are crafted. I don't believe you can find anything above a 51, maybe above a 60. The game just won't make it, but you can craft it. So all of the best stuff in the game, you're going to be crafting eventually because there's multiple talents that increase your craftability. So like it only says up to 51 for guns, but we craft them at 71 because there's other talents that buff it as well. Science crafting, have somebody put a point in right away. You can get T1, like there's 3 groups of mods, even up to tier 2 mods. Like there's really great mods in that. Have somebody get it right away, get you those mods, so you can spend those pages, those blue pages that you're finding. I never did lockpicking. I just break everything open. This is a really crazy good talent that people need to consider. Because food is so difficult, especially if you are not a farmer or a hunter or maybe a scavenger where you could buy your food from the traders, this is an incredible talent. You won't have to eat or drink so much longer. Your food just lasts so much longer. It really makes a difference. I recommend this talent as early as possible. The inventory size in this pack is quite large, and there's like a backpack progression system built in too to help you unlock spaces. And instead of putting the pocket mods on your armor, they only let you put it on your clothes now. So you have 1, 2, 3 spaces for pockets, the pocket mods. So you really only get 9 spaces from that. And then with the tier 3 backpack and 3 points in pack mule, you have 1 space that's encumbered. It's kind of like the sweet spot. So putting points into pack mule fairly early isn't that big of a deal. Don't go past 3. Highly recommend do not go past 3. That last point for 1 point of encumbrance, don't worry about it. As you progress through the technology in the game, through like the sewing machine and whatnot, You get better backpacks to expand your inventory, and it's there you go. And then you're basically filled. Better bartering is actually quite good. It's improved from what it was. It's a 25% buying and a 50% better deal when selling. And then it has the secret stash stuff baked in too. So it's actually a double dip on the selling. And let's be real, that's what we're here for. And then they added a lot of old talents back for making things in here. And then it goes into the class. Oh wait, no, there's multiple tabs. There's a lot of things that give you bits and pieces. So like if you aren't the farmer, you can get the basic farming tips. So it tells you how to do the mortar and pestle to make seeds more cheaply, the hoe, corn, and cotton, and then you can do the animal snare from this. Looks like you have to be level 5 is all, and then you can do snares. So if you're not a farmer, just get to 5 and then you're good. And you also get a pretty GT. I'm not sure. It's got to be 5. Blueberry and aloe, who cares? But get to level 5 and you can probably do that. You could probably skip the farmer thing. Just get the snares. That's the biggest thing with animal feed. So if you're not the farmer, there's the basic farming. If you're not the laborer, there is the basic the basic forging stuff. So it's all here, and then you have to like learn how to do the workbench, and specific weapons that you want to craft are all in here too. Look through it, make your choices wisely. A lot of these things are actually, they stop me from doing it because I have to have armor crafting. It won't let me. I've actually read these books, but they won't let me learn it any better because I haven't done the armor crafting on mine. Got somebody else making our armor on our playthrough. Deep dive into the classes. It's not going to be that deep. Living off the land is what you'd expect. It unlocks all the stuff like right away for all of the seeds, and you actually have access to a lot of the seeds too. I was looking for the recipe for goldenrod seed because that's one of your quests. You actually just know a lot of recipes. If you don't know if you know a recipe, just check. Even if you haven't read a schematic, you might already know it. Then you start getting 1 additional and you can craft a few more things, 2, 3, and then 4. You can get a lot of crops really fast. You get 5 per hit. Sous chef. The teas are great and all. Cornbread is kind of trash. Apple juice is kind of trash. Water doesn't give you sickness, so it's fine. You can make juice, it's fine, but it's not that good. Pancakes, don't waste your time. Blueberry pies are pretty good. You get that pretty early. The stews are obviously good. Those are things. Marmalade is kind of cumbersome to make. I would skip it. The roast dinner is pretty good. Yucca juice smoothies are good. You know, look at the food. You'll figure it out. Even just go into a single player game before you play with your friends. Open up a creative menu and at least like look at what they are. What we have made is mostly the roast dinners because it has the best wellness and it has a bit of health and food, and then a lot of stews. But farming is quite good. You get a lot of the cooking and farming right off the bat. Hunting, like I've said before, that's you harvest more meat and you're better at sneaking. There's not really much to say about that one. The master books, they actually give you some neat things. So like you can make steel crossbows, titanium knives, and increases the range of your tracking. Extended magazine mod was the big thing. So each master perk does actually have a pretty good thing to it. This gives you the secret recipes and also growing lights. If you're on a PvP server or a PvP playthrough with friends, growing things underground would be pretty significant. Just know that you have to have super corn to make modified seeds to grow underground. Every recipe for modified seed requires super corn. Going into laborer, you get the workbenches right away. You get some of the auger, chainsaw. They're actually quite cheap to make. You'd be surprised. Make sure you look at what it costs to make things. They're a lot cheaper than you may think. Even a rocket launcher. They don't take the normal things to make them. They're quite cheap. Definitely look at a recipe if you want something. It might be cheaper than you imagined. Or from what you remembered. Yeah. Augers and Chainsaw completely replaced my melee tools, and I've never done a 7-day Sedai where I've actually been able to replace my tools. The Big Forge is nice and all, but if you can skip past it, go to the Advanced Forge as soon as possible. The Advanced Forge is literally broken. Almost all of the recipes cost half of what they do in the other forge, and it doesn't take fuel to burn things in it. And it has 3 melt slots just like the Big Forge anyway, and it takes up far less space. The Advanced Forge is quite unfair, actually. I think it's 12 stone in a forge to make 1 cement. It's 3 stone in this Advanced Forge to make 1 cement. So it's 4 times more efficient at making certain things. A little bit broken. Also, I think like brass casings is 1 brass per in the Advanced Forge, and it's double that in the other ones. Titanium tools, not really useful by then. I mean, I guess you can do the titanium chainsaw and auger, and those are quite good. Salvage operations, I really wouldn't worry about it too much. If you end up being the mechanic, it's probably worthwhile to have a wrench in the beginning because you won't have the mining skill, but eventually you'll end up just leaving that at home. Bikes early is great, mini bikes, and then you can mod the mini bikes. There's vehicle mods in this, and I believe only the mechanic can do it, unless you get like the rank 5 of the science crafting. You can increase their speed, fuel economy, fuel tanks, storage, armor, but it's kind of a cumbersome way to do it. Look into that more. Basically, you just search mini bike, and you just combine a mini bike. Let's go with a vehicle armor mod, and then you get a mini bike armor mod. And then if you want to put economy in it, you go that bike in with the economy, and then now you have an armor and economy vehicle. And you can only go up to 3 mods, and some of them don't actually have 3 mod combinations available. You have to be careful with it. Just look into what you're doing. Have your crafting plotted out before you start. And then turret syndrome is actually changed a little bit. For the most part, it's the same, but it actually changes your active range on them as well. I don't believe the vanilla one does that. It just makes you attack faster, have larger ammo stockpiles, and do slightly more damage. But this one actually increases the range of the turrets as well. And you can get 2 turrets quite quickly if you're the mechanic. So it's a very effective way to start playing the game. And then this gives you the motorcycle 4x4. Muscle cars, I don't recommend it. For a lot of reasons. Scavenger really was a great one. The biggest thing is Lucky Looter has faster looting baked into it. So you can get up to 80% faster looting here. And then you remember in the initial perks, you can get up to 50% faster looting with the Fast Eddy. You can open things very quickly. Let me see. Is there a gun safe or something in here? I mean, it's basically instant open for everything that you'd want. You don't even see the cast bar because I have both of them. There's no... You can loot very quickly, and it doesn't seem like it would be that helpful, but if there's a zombie in here you don't feel like killing it, you just take all the stuff and leave. So that's kind of a double dipping of old talents and new talents that I think they made a mistake on, but it's worth doing. And all 5 of these perks only add 5 loot bonus, so on top of the 250 from the other one, like I still really didn't notice a difference. Buried treasures goes down to 3 meters as well, so if you like doing quests, this is also a very good one for living off the traders. You get more quest choices, you narrow down the buried treasure to start out. And then the wasteland treasures is also quite good. Master Scavenger gets the Desert Eagle, which we never actually made, and then a 10% bonus in pistols. Scientist gives you better use of the rocket launchers, is pretty much all I did it for. The gas science was more for the grain alcohol, gas cans, and then the healing bandages from physician is what we were doing. That's why we ended up having one of these. And then eventually you can do the drugs. Makes sense. And heal yourself for more. Advanced firearm ammo is probably the best perk in here, because then you can get all of the hollow points and armor piercing rounds through the scientist class at rank 3. Quite good. They actually have different tips now. So there's an armor piercing tip, which is just lead, iron, and clay. And then the hollow point is just lead and clay. It actually costs the same as the normal one. As long as you're in the right forge, that is. But the hollow point does more damage to unarmored targets, but less damage to armored. I don't recommend going to hollow points until you can actually carry 2 different guns, and then you have a hollow point gun and an armor piercing gun. So then when it's an unarmored target, you use hollow points. When it's a armored target, you switch to your armor piercing. But the armor piercing rounds are drastically better because it's super cheap, same amount of ammo and everything, or gunpowder and stuff like that, but it does increase the degradation of your gun. And then security, like I've said before, there's really no huge perks, but the advanced tactical rigging is another thing on your chest piece that gives you more inventory space as well. And then the I swear they have the advanced casing catcher. I'm losing my mind. The advanced brass catcher, I believe, is the mastery book. It's not saying it here, but I'm almost certain that it is. Very good class for just an added benefit, because everything that you have in here benefits yourself. So you attack faster, and it applies to all of these things, all of the weapons, not just the melee brawling stuff like that. And then not getting stunned is huge. And then a survivalist, there's not a lot here. The jerky is kind of trash. The radio is kind of neat though, because you can craft quests, which is kind of broken as well. So like all of these quests, don't buy the farm, don't feed the bears, drunk and disorderly, nails the chicks, you can craft those. But you find so many of them, it's really not that big of a deal, and the reward for doing them is not that good either. I do really like the terrain generation on this, and the map that we're on is kind of curated, so never mind the straight lines. We're on defaults large. We wanted to be sure that we had everything that we needed for the mod pack to be completable, and so that's why we use that. But I highly recommend living in a pool. There is a pissy water pool, something like that. This is where we've been living. Pissy Waters public pool. It's just a big open pool area. We actually filled in most of the pool because we've been using it as a garage. We've got some self-opening garage doors and things like that for coming in and out, and they'll self-close after a few seconds of not being in front of the motion sensor. But the big thing about this is the whole underground is reinforced concrete. This room was a little bit hectic to get into right away, but this is where we've got all of our stuff. And then if you go down here, count back 4 spaces, or honestly, you can go right in the corner. There's a secret stash in here with like 3 gun safes and some ammo crates. Definitely should come in here, but we've torn all that out. Some hidden stashes as well. But yeah, you can craft it. Make sure you save your black dye. But we have so many quests, we don't even use it anymore. Honey is used. You can find the mastery book, so you don't actually have to spend the 10 points to master a topic. Keep the key cards. You'll need the black ink, or the ink that's made from the black dye. These are the rare notes that you'll need for unlocking technology. It's really a great mod. These are the advanced forges. They've got 3 different things, and there's no place for fuel because they don't need them. There's advanced technology like laser tables and fusion things and laser pistols and laser swords, and there's a lot to this pack that's really great, and I highly recommend trying it out if you guys are 7 Days to Die fans. But I think that basically covers everything. There's a few problems with the mod pack, but for the whole, as a whole, is pretty well done. If you're wondering where to find a laser table or titanium, they are in the radiation zone. You're gonna have to do a lot of exploring in the radiation zone. Keep your hazmat gear, because this soft radiation zone that is usually around the outside of the map, depending on your version, You'll have to go out there and spend a lot of time out there with the demons. And the prefabs that you need to progress your technology are almost invisible. And they are not normally next to a road. So, that being said, I wish you guys luck in finding the things that you need to progress through the mod. If you guys want to catch more or have questions, I'm on Twitch almost every day. Come find me. Have a good day.